Hey, welcome back to Did You Play That? Our retro gaming podcast focused on some of our favorite classic games. My name is Eric, and the cola to my Pepsi, co-host Josh. And today we're going to be talking about the uncola Coolspot. How you doing, Josh?
Doing pretty good. I was interested to hear what your intro was going to be for this one.
Yeah, I almost went with a more uncola answer of Sierra Nevada to 7-Up or possibly even Sprite, but I went the other way. I went the cola way.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to try something.
Yeah, that actually leads me to my first question about this game that we're talking about, Coolspot here. Because mostly the intros, you've been setting us as the main protagonist and antagonist against each other here. And first question I had is, who's locking up all these cool spots?
I don't know. I know this. There's a story. So the story is that Coolspot, the guy that you play as throughout this, the one that hops off of the soda bottle in the middle of the ocean for the intro, he was out going for a surfing day, which you see at the beginning, and he was out, and all the other Coolspot, because they're all Coolspot,
right,
were kidnapped and caged. I'm not 100% sure. I did look at the manual, and maybe I missed it. I don't know, but I did look at the manual, and I don't think there's anyone that specifically did this to them.
Maybe it just is a Pepsi guy, I guess.
Oh, no, excuse me. Wild, Wicked Willy Will has been trying to capture a real live spot to prove to the world that they really do exist.
Like a Toy Story situation.
Yeah, it sounds like it is a Toy Story situation. Right? Oh, man.
Well, that answers a question for me, at least. All
yeah,
right.
that might be the biggest question we have of the day.
That's in the direction book, you're saying.
Yeah, so okay. It has like the normal, the normal, what does every button do, which some of these buttons do nothing. And then it goes, breaking news, Spot and his friends, Spot, and Spot are in trouble, and they need help fast.
Now, is that the same number of spots as there are levels, then? Were there 11? There are 11 levels.
Are there 11? I didn't count them, to be perfectly honest. I don't count the bonus stages, obviously, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I count 8
they
levels.
Messed up.
Right?
As I do, I have pulled up the strategywiki.org/Coolspot. To go through the 11 levels here.
Yeah.
One other thing I noticed about these levels, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I felt like, the first level you were at the beach, and the last level you were back at the beach.
Yeah. And
it seemed like they were almost kind of you went out and then you came back kind of a thing.
Yeah, I could kind of felt that way too. Honestly, I beat this at some point growing up a while ago, and I almost didn't replay it because I didn't have much time. And then I found time probably Friday and got about halfway through the game. And I was like, oh, I can definitely put it together another half an hour and beat this game. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I kind of felt like. Like, you start at the beach, you then go into a wall. You're behind the wall, in the cracks and everything. And you do that again. You're on a dock or a pier, and you're on a different dock and a pier. You definitely feel like you kind of do that out and back adventure.
So are we invading Wild Willy? What is his name? Are we invading his house?
Wild Wicked Willy Will? I'm assuming. I'm going to assume it's spelled like Dr. Wily, which is kind of confusing to me. So Wild Wicked, the Dr. Wily Will. So I don't know if it's pronounced that way or how it's pronounced, to be honest. But maybe it is Dr. Wily. I hope not.
Yikes.
I figure he's got more than enough things going on to begin with. Yeah. So, let's get into some of the pieces of this game. We found out there's a story, which is important. I compare this to an early collectathon. Not that you're collecting a lot, but the whole purpose is to collect as many of the red spots, because you can't call them cool spots. Red spots, and as many of the little 7-Up things, icons, so that you can get up to a possible 100% in each stage, right?
Yes.
Did you ever get 100% in a stage?
The only time I got 100% was actually in the first bonus level.
Okay.
So nothing happened there. Nothing special. I don't know if something special.
Something
I believe
small but special did happen. Because that's the only stage I got 100% in as well. I didn't get it in any of the regular stages. I got 100% in the first bonus stage, and you get the 1-up at the end.
That's true. That's true. Because you don't have the extra timing piece.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure as a kid, I remember at some point I definitely got 100% on some level, and I don't remember anything happening.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Someone's going to have to help us out with that, because I don't think I'm going to go back and try.
Yeah, I'm not going to be planning on going back, though. I think we'll bring up the competition closer to the end about why we might go back. I know at some point I definitely did as a kid growing up, get 100 in a few stages. Which stages were probably the early ones?
Yeah.
Because some of those later ones just... I felt actually nauseated on one stage, and we'll talk about that one later. But I did get 100% on that first bonus, and that's the only thing is you go up, you have that, you hang on to the balloon, and you get to the top, and you get that extra 1-up.
Yep.
Did you spell Uncola?
I did, and so I beat the game, and then, I don't know, I was a little disappointed at the weird non-ending, sort of.
You get the sad face cool spots.
Yes.
And I don't even think I realized there were sad face cool spots until the ending.
Yep. Because, again, it went pretty quick, I think. I don't know if I pressed a button or something, but it was a screen that's just like, there was a contest that I was unaware of. You have to spell Uncola, and it also has to be in hard mode.
In hard mode, yep.
So I was probably in normal mode or whatever the default setting is. So that was kind of, again, between... There's no final boss. It's just
no bosses at all.
The game is just over, and I won but lost at the same time. And I felt pretty demoralized, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I didn't remember that if you beat the game on normal mode, that there was that ending, to be honest. I thought it was at least a congratulations, like happy face, like now try hard and you can win the competition.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about the competition completely, but that was what the competition was, because this was a promotional kind of video game, but it's actually a decent video game.
Yes. Yeah, it seemed weird to me that 7-Up would make a video game, so I understand it being promotional for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed it regardless of the promotional piece to it, and regardless of the non-bosses, weird ending kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think the only difference, if you did play hard mode, I think you need to get more cool spots in each stage to then unlock or free your friend spot from the jail at the end. So I think in most stages you need to get 65 or 70, something like that.
I think it gets a little bit higher the later you go.
That would make sense to me, because I feel like I started off and I was like at like 50 or 60, and I was
the
like,
first one, I believe, or 60 even. But by the end, it might have been up to 85 or 90 even in the last couple levels.
That sounds about right, because I feel like even still in some of those levels, I couldn't get the bonus stage anymore because I had already spelled Uncola, and I was still trying, but then I was like, dude, just stop collecting things. You're good. Go find your friend and free them.
I did the same exact thing, so I'm right with you there.
Yeah, it is what it is. You want to kind of get into some of the stages specifically? Do you want to just like talk about what stages you liked or disliked?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of, as we said, you kind of like, the stages are similar front to back in a certain way. It's
got like a sandwich kind of feeling.
Yeah. Almost like a palindrome a bit to it. But definitely way harder.
Oh, hell yeah. That second dock stage or the pier, whatever it is, where you're like with the boats in the background, I died a lot on that one.
Just falling right through.
I didn't even, I died within the first 5 steps. I was like, I'll just fall down here and see what's down here. And it was just instant death. And I was like, well, that's good to know.
I actually have a we're playing on the SNES Classic, and that's one of those like states that replays on my screen sometimes. Yep. And I was like at the not quite the top of the level, but maybe like one level down from the top. Yeah. And I went to jump on a rope, and you had to be very exact, like right in the middle of the rope and pressing up to climb the rope. And I missed and just plummeted all the way to that very same spot, which is the first 5 steps.
Yeah, and at that point, you're better off just committing suicide and just...
Oh, no, I fell right through.
Oh, you just fell right through? I
didn't even land. Yep, right through. That was it.
That was the most aggressive committing of suicide, I guess. Then.
Yeah, accidental, but better off for sure.
Yeah, I had a few stages where I was like, I knew I was close to the end and was like just trying to find my friend, and I fell to like the beginning, and I was like, well, screw this. I'm just going to find an enemy and die, or just jump off the ledge.
My most frequent of that one, and also most annoying, was the bathtub level.
Oh, we can talk about the bathtub level. All right, let's kind of go in a little order though. Well, okay. Let's go. So the first stage is the beach. Yeah. It's a nice introductory. There's nothing crazy. There's the only thing I think I had any real issue with on that stage is there's like little wasps or dragonflies or something. Yeah. But I don't understand why they shoot red firebolts at you. Everything else makes sense. The crab comes out of like its hole and tries to pinch you. There's the hermit crab. Yeah. You shoot his shell off. It like goes flying. He's in underpants for some reason, and he just runs back and forth. He doesn't run and hide. He runs back and forth aggressively. Yeah. And then there's the little dragonfly thing that shoots fireballs at you, which are, I don't know about you, I could not hit those things.
No, I couldn't. It's weird. Again, because the first level is, like you said, a nice introduction, I think it was easy enough that I didn't even really remember by the last level that they shot fireballs at you, because in the first level, I don't feel like they really got me. No. But in the last level, so many times did I die because of those little fireballs.
But that was Shell Shock was the first stage. Yes. Other than that, I mean, straightforward, collect things left to right pretty much. There is a little bit of up. Yeah. But not much.
I did also, this was funny, I don't know if you noticed this at all. Definitely I didn't as a kid, but playing it through as an adult, I stopped at one point, because there's like in the background, there's beach chairs and books. Did you notice any of those books that they had laying around?
I didn't notice anything specific about the books. Is there something that was like a specific book? One of the books
was titled Cheat Codes, which I just thought was funny.
That's nice a great little Easter egg, a little hidden thing. I loved that. I loved a couple things about, and I'm glad you brought it up because I might have forgot. I love that there was like a depth to it. So like you sometimes walk behind the things and you walk in front of other things, or you can jump on top of some things where you couldn't. I loved the old like Walkman that was just like on the beach, and the headphones. And I was like, oh man, I had that thing growing up. Like mine was this neon yellow, but that was one of those other things that I did notice.
I had one of those neon yellows as well.
Right? I feel like everyone had that one. Yeah. We'll talk about the bonuses all together at the end, I think. After that, it was peer pressure. It was that first dock stage, which didn't have the shooting dragonflies. They just had like hornets or bees that just flew around. The bees. Again, another thing I felt like I could not shoot and kill.
It was because you had to shoot like kind of diagonally up, but when you did that, you also walked forward. Yeah. And so you were in danger of like running into something else or falling off the edge, or the sea urchins just laying on the
anything. There was like the little fish hooks that you could step on as well. Yeah. And I really feel like that was the only thing in that stage that was super complicated. Some of the jumps and some of the ropes were a little complicated, but this one had crabs again. It just walked left and right. Really didn't do much. Weren't an issue. It had the clams, which would shoot, but all I would do is I would just sit there and mash the Y button to shoot back at it. I actually really like that in this game. If you shoot a projectile from the enemy, it destroys their projectile. Like both projectiles, like nice. Are gone. Yep. And that was actually something that I used quite often in this game.
Do you know what the Coolspot projectile is?
I have to assume it's like soda fizz.
Yeah, it's
like the carbonation,
it's
right?
A carbonation bubble. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of
obviously, but
thought that's what it was, but I don't remember like I remember one of the 7-Up commercials. And I can't even remember many details. I just remember him like jumping off of like the vending machine and like doing something in like the city or on the street and then like jumping back on. And I was like, it must be soda related. So
right. Yeah, I don't remember actually the Coolspot 7-Up commercials. I remember I believe it was one of the Wayans brothers and the Make 7-Up Yours commercials.
I remember that one too now. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of different things they had. Any other thoughts on peer pressure? I mean, it wasn't a bad stage. I kind of I like the themes so far. Like, you're at the beach, you're at the dock.
Like you said, there was clearly a story. Not that I knew what it was at all, but like,
I don't think anybody really did. After that, it's Off the Wall, which I think is the stage where you're behind the wall. And there's like the mice that throw cheese at you, the spiders that drop out of nowhere on top of you.
Yes.
Was there anything other that was like an actual enemy in that stage or those stages?
Spiders. Not that I can think of right now.
I can't either. There was a lot of. I feel like that one had a lot more traps to it. So there was traps, the actual mouse traps, which I'm not gonna lie, might be one of my favorite mechanics in this game, because if you walk on the side where the cheese was supposed to be, you got hit and hurt. Yep. But if you jumped on the other side, it launched you. Yep. And it was so much fun to hit that thing and go flying.
However, how many times does it launch you directly into a spider?
Pretty much every time. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, but it was still fun to just do it.
Yeah.
I feel like I had enough health in the early stages where it didn't really matter to me that I was just going to do it anyways.
Yes.
But it also had it had like barbed wire on the floors and the ceilings. It had nails coming through the floors or the ceilings. So you had to kind of really be careful of more like the traps in this stage than the enemies.
Yeah, it's quite the dangerously built house, I guess.
And this one had a lot more of that depth piece to it, like that first stage where like you had pipes in the way. So you would sometimes be in front of the pipes and sometimes you would go behind the pipes. So you would kind of like lose visual of yourself or the spiders or, trying to find the spots that were hidden behind them. So if you were really trying to do a good job or if you had played hard and needed 90, that probably would have been a lot harder on this stage.
Yes. I noticed a lot of time the joints of the pipes were frequently hit a lot of spots.
Yeah.
Another thing I actually did like, which I don't know if this is you could shoot your bubbles through things, like through walls. Yeah. So you could kill a lot of spiders. Like if you were on top of them, I'd just shoot down. Yep. And then when you got down there,
you didn't have to worry about them. Yeah.
So,
yeah, as long as you didn't die, nothing respawned, which was really nice. I'm not going to lie. I did that a lot as well. I'm trying to think. I just brain farted and lost what I was going to say. This is the first stage I felt like I got lost. Like, I know there are cool spots that you can collect or do collect that are pretty obvious that give you like the pointer finger, not the... Oh, yeah. I was going to say the finger, and I was like, you don't get the finger this game. I mean, it kind of feels like you might every now and again, but you get the pointer finger of like, go left, go up, go right, which is really nice, but I still felt like I got a little lost in this stage.
Yeah, this one was a more... the first stage where they kind of do the, you got to go up and around and down and then back a little bit, backtrack, and yeah.
This one had a lot more of that. Like, shell shock, again, like left to right pretty much. Peer pressure, it felt more like you went up to the right, down to the right, up and to the... Like, there wasn't much. True. And this was the first time I felt like time started to feel a little bit closer. I still finished with plenty, but it felt like I had more time restraint than the other stages.
I didn't quite feel the time restraint yet, but I'll bring that up in the level when we get to that one.
Okay. What do we got after that? Radical Rails, right?
Not quite yet. No, that's after the... No, we got waiting around. So this is the bath level. You start in a bathtub and you kind of like... climb your way up. You got the bubbles to hit to launch you up, and then the weird...
Well, my list must be wrong, because I have Radical Rails first. Whatever. I trust the Wikipedia page more than my stuff.
Okay.
That was the obnoxious bathtub, but you want to know, it's not a bathtub.
It's not a bathtub.
It's not. Did you notice what the background is when you get further up? You're like in a toy store.
That's okay.
So it's like a inflatable pool that's got water in the store.
Okay.
Because there's things that are like, buy me, for sale in the background, which I hit pause because I needed to do something real quick, and I looked at it, and I'm like, what the hell is that? What's it say?
That makes sense, because my question was going to be, what were those, like, fat, inflatable men that you just, like, bounced on, or you jumped onto, and that was, like, half the level was...
No idea.
Platforming up and down those things.
No idea. Like, I like the little UFO things. I thought those things are fun.
Yes.
I know, I don't know, I might even be in a different stage, but...
No,
those are, I feel like there's a few in that stage.
They dumped you if you stood on them too long.
Yes. I like the bubbles all around in the game.
Yes.
And I like even more the like little bubble that when you jump into it, you get a little time to float up, and then you can see him almost like trying to escape.
Yeah. Popping his way out.
Yeah. So I liked... I had some struggles with this one because it's the first time where you really have to hit your jumps or you die.
Yeah.
And you don't get a lot of visual or a lot of control of the camera at all. So to hit those jumps, you really have to like know where it is, cross your fingers, or just get pure lucky.
So I learned this because yes, if you hit the jump button, like press it all the way down, you jump too high, and the like UFOs usually leave the camera line of sight. Yeah. If you don't press the jump all the way down, but press it like 3/4 of the way down, he jumps less, and you keep the UFO in your line of sight. Okay. So that was a little tip for anyone playing this game for the first time. What are we, 30 years later?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's worth playing it at least once. Like, it's got really good platforming. I mean, you were emphasizing the jumps right there, and I'm like, you know what? Like, the jumping part of this game was good. I think the jumping was really consistent and really quality. I feel like the left and right movement speed was where I struggled with certain things. Because like there was times where you needed to be running to jump and like to get that distance. And there was other times where like I feel like I'd have enough like walking into it, but I felt like I was like this super like straight up, barely moving to the side jump. And I'm like, come on, go. Yeah. I'm not going to reach it.
It took him some time to get up to speed to do a long jump versus just a straight up and down jump.
Yeah, but that stage was fun. There weren't a lot of enemies. I think the few enemies, there was like a frog or something in the water. Yeah. But I don't think I even attempted to attack it because I was more worried about hitting the jump.
There was one time where, so this is the first level where I actually lost time. I died once due to timing issues because I fell, just kept falling down. And then there was a point where I kept...
Do you just normal die when you run out of time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just die, and so when you die, like you said, the enemies come back. Yeah. But you got all the spots collected at least. But there was one time where I kept falling back down, and I kept trying to jump, and when I made my jump, I was going quickly, and I kept almost jumping on a frog, and then I, like, halfway through my jump, I was like, crap, I'm about to die. Yeah. Just fall right in the water.
Yeah, I fell in the water a few times. This is actually probably the first game I just forgot to actually record my playthrough of. But this is one of the stages where, again, I wasn't always sure where I was supposed to jump, especially when you got, like, up into the air. Like, sometimes I knew where I was trying to jump, and I just missed, and... Yeah. Sometimes you'd land on those UFOs and not even know that you were jumping and going to land on a UFO. So I'd like land on the UFO and like take that half a second to be like, all right, where should I go now? And it just dumps you and you're like, what? And like, I think the biggest thing was the instant I start falling, I don't know about you, but the instant I start falling, I like panic move. And I think I was better off a few times just staying still and just like you fall onto a lily pad or you fall into one of the boats or whatever it's in the water. But I would like panic fall and like push left and right, like, and hope that I saw something magically to land on, and it didn't work out so well.
Yes, the panic fall. I know it well.
It totally happened a lot. Anything else for our off the wall one? Right, was that off the wall? No. What was that?
Waiting
one?
Around.
Waiting around. Sorry.
No, I think we kind of summed it up there.
Okay. What was after that one?
So then toying around is when. So again, I in my mind, we were in a house, I guess. But if we're in a toy store...
I don't know where this one actually takes place, to be honest.
definitely at least the owner of the toy store, because there are toys all over the place. Yeah. And this was the first of the...
There's two of these.
I feel, yeah.
This one got more maze-like, and it wasn't like maze like the off the wall where you were in the wall like trying to figure things out. This one got maze like where like all of a sudden there'd just be blocks that you couldn't go behind or jump over, and you just couldn't go that way.
Yeah, or you're trying to get up, but you can't jump to this shelf. You have to jump to that shelf over there.
Yeah, and so this one got a little bit tricky with that maze quote piece of it. Also, is this the first stage with an invincible enemy? Did you ever try to destroy like the little soccer ball that just went left and right?
I did, yeah. And
I don't think you can because I hit it like 10 times.
So many times.
Yeah. So it was probably the first stage where I was confused as to why this one thing was magically invincible when it seems just like the other ones. And there's like little bouncing balls that are just like red and green and yellow, and you shoot them once or twice and they're destroyed.
Yep. Couldn't get that one though.
Yeah, I don't know what was with that like magic soccer ball thing. There was weird little pencil tops that just like spun.
Yeah, the little like they look like little aliens.
They look like little monster heads. Yeah. And did you ever have those toys that you would like? They were finger toys, and you just like have arms. It kind of reminded me of those.
Definitely.
And those would spin, but they couldn't move, so they just sat right where they were. They would spin and deflect anything you shot at them, and then they would disappear.
Yeah, you could shoot them when they weren't spinning, but when they were spinning, if you shot them, they just sort of shot your projectile away, which sometimes
wasn't that
you got to kill someone else with the little rebound shot.
There was a few airplanes, which I feel like every single time I went to jump, it was like I jumped right into the airplane, or like you jump up and the airplane's dropping things on you. So I feel like every single time I saw an airplane, I got hit, but I don't think there was any other thing after that for like bad guys in this stage, right?
Well, when you get to like different houses of cards, were there like wind up dolls or something?
Oh, there were. Yeah, there were the little wind up robots that walked back and forth.
I was gonna say
there was
monkeys,
those, and there was
monkeys.
There was like little like what are the little cars called? They were like a little race cars that went back and forth. Well, Hot Wheels. There were little Hot Wheels from them, but like I don't know if they were actual Hot Wheels, but yeah, there were those things. I forgot all about the deck of cards that you would find. Little like I love that there was little fire trucks, and some of them had like the really long extended like piece so that you could roll down them or those things. Yeah, this one was kind of like it was fun because there was a lot of different like toys. There was a lot of different bad guys in this one.
Yeah, the game I think did a good job of. I mean, there were a lot of similarities in the levels. Yeah, but I didn't really feel that because of it was very different backgrounds, and like you said, a fire truck is very different from like a beach chair, even though they had similar
the same
mechanics
idea,
in the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like they had the similar ideas, but they made the appearance very different, so you didn't even know that it was like the same idea, the same thing.
Definitely.
Yeah. What do we have after that one?
So that is the Radical Rails, which is just like doesn't fit with any of the rest of the game.
This one like came out of nowhere, and I don't mind that, but I this is one where I think I started to struggle with time again because I was spending so much time like either backtracking. All right, so you get launched up like almost like a pinball into this. Not like maze, because you're not like really restrained in what direction. It's like these like diagonal lines or walls or floors that just, when you don't jump, you just start rolling that direction. Yeah. And there's pretty much only that in this stage. There's a little flat sections.
Yeah, and there weren't any enemies.
There's not a single enemy.
Okay, yeah.
And so you just have to keep rolling down these things and kind of finding a few spots here and there and like collecting them until you get to the end. But I feel like I was constantly backtracking, or I'd miss the jump to get something and then start rolling away. And I was like, no, go back.
I would roll to the same location every time where it shoots you back up and you got to start back at the beginning. And I was like, it happens so fast.
And you can't escape from that thing either. No. So you really have to know it, hit that timing right, hit the jump right, like get all that right. This one wasn't like, I didn't mind them trying something different.
Yeah.
I don't love it. It wasn't my favorite stage, but I didn't mind that they tried something different with the mechanics that the game did have.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed it for like the first half of the level, and then I was like, all right, like I get it. And again, falling through that same pipe over and over again. I was like,
and there's one at the other end
here.
too. Like, yeah, there's 2 pipes where like you could get launched up, or maybe there's more, but
like
there's
all the
at
way
least
back
2.
to the beginning.
It's like, come on, dude, hurry up, or at least like let me get out when I want to get out and bail. Yeah, that was different, but I didn't hate it. I can live with it.
And I again, now that I'm seeing the levels laid out 1 through 11, that is the midway point of the game.
Yeah.
And then you start going backwards. So the next level, you are back in the, whatever it is, toy store situation. And this is where, you're in a lot of the same levels, but the difficulty level of finding all the spots is definitely ratcheted up.
Yeah, and I feel like I agree that a lot of the difficulty on the second half got super ramped up, super difficult, and not unfair. Like, I didn't feel like it was unfair. It's just there's times where that camera and your movement, you jump and then magically you're there in front of a bad guy, or a bad guy just comes on the screen, or like
every jump you had to kind of like half jump, and then jump and then turn yourself around because you knew you were going to have an enemy flying at you.
Yeah, and it just made it like too difficult to kind of figure out what was going to come up and try to make that jump. And occasionally you had the jumps where you're like, I don't even know if I want to make this jump, because if I miss, I'm either going way back to the beginning, or if I miss, I'm going to end up dead.
Yep.
So
yeah, I mean, really, I don't know if you want to add too much about these later levels. The only one I think that's different is, level, like we said, level 7 wound up is basically level 5 toying around, just with the difficulty level ratcheted up.
Yeah.
Level 8,
a couple slightly different like, I think there's different airplanes now. Like, there's a blue airplane and a red airplane, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I know the difference between the two. I didn't notice it in the first one.
The difference between the two.
Yeah. I just remembered that there was 2 of them, and I was like, oh, I don't remember that happening last time. Okay. So.
But then level 8 is locomotive.
Oh. This is my least favorite stage.
All right.
Least favorite stage. Okay.
Remind me a little bit about it.
So you start off and you're on the little like toy train thing.
Right.
And it starts off, honestly, the first part of this I really liked. So you start off on the train, and you start off at like the front of the train, and you make your way back, and there's different parts. There's like coal sections where like a cowboy pops up and he shoots at you, and there's little sections where like passengers could stay, or like you could have cargo or whatever. And so it had some nice little pieces early on. I found that the instant you got off of the train, though, was my first time where I really disliked the game. I legitimately felt nauseous trying to track my jump with how quickly the background was moving. And that's where I got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm at the end of this train. I don't mind that if I miss my jumps, I fall and I land on the train at least. It's not like I'm dying. Like, I'm going to get a second shot or a third shot, depending on all my time and everything. But I was struggling so hard because you're jumping left, but the background is also going left. So you're like accelerated left. And it's just like, I can't figure out the timing of it and the distance of it. And you can see, I think this is the one where you're jumping on those weird, like, boys, the baby things again.
Because this is the opposite level to the, again, what I thought was a bathtub. Yeah. This is the inflatable pool level.
And so you're jumping on those things, and there's, like, the feet hang low, so you're a little low, and then you go up onto the body and the back, so you kind of go upwards. Like, it recognizes that this one thing is not a flat plane. It's not a flat level thing. And so you kind of find these ups and downs. So you really have to time your jumps right. You have to land on them. You have to see them. There's the strings that go up because they're like balloon kind of things.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of see that there's strings and you just assume you can jump that way. But that one's for one that's further down below. So you're jumping onto something way below. And this was the stage where I started to like not have fun anymore or started to disagree with what the game was giving me.
Yeah, this one, it took me a while to remember. I was honestly confusing this train with the train levels from Bubsy that we did.
Oh, God.
And I was like, wait, why am I not remembering Coolspot? The UFOs are very difficult to track because the background is moving so much because they're small and like these gray little... Yeah, they're tough.
They're not easy. They don't stand out or like really show up. And then you've got the stupid birds pooping on you that are like flying back and forth. And I feel like they like really hunted you down. Like,
yes, they knew like exactly when to turn to be like, oh, you're gonna jump. Well, I'm gonna turn and just bam right in the face.
Yeah. So like you're not only trying to dodge them, but they're pooping at you or like dropping eggs at you. I don't know what it was, to be honest, because again, I can't tell with the background. And you'd miss, you'd get hit, and you'd fall to the bottom, and you'd have to like rinse and repeat until you got it back to where you got. Yeah, this was the one stage where I kept feeling constant pressure for the time, and I was more likely to either just find a way to die than try to find my way back to the top.
Mm-hmm. So this was also a level where you would not have been caring, like, so which we're going to talk about at the end, the special levels, the Uncola, so you only needed 6 out of the 11 levels to get to the bonus, and there were definitely levels, and this would have been one of them where I was like, just let me unlock the cage.
I don't even know if I recognized it at that point, but this was a stage where I think once I had enough, I stopped trying to get anything extra.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of them are in those, like, perfect jumps where you had to hit the jump perfectly, like that mid-level jump or that, like, high but also full run jump. And, like, whatever it was, you had to hit those perfect jumps to get all 3 spots in the jump or even 2 of the 3, like, whatever.
Or similar to that, there's ones where, like, you would jump on a UFO and you had to drop to get the 7 up in the spots. And I was like, I don't want to go down.
But this was
going to keep going
I think this was the first stage I actually recognized that it let you look up and down. I think this was I don't know if this was the only stage, but I think this is the only time I actually recognized that I could look down. And so eventually I realized I could also look up. But you can't do anything else for that. And it's not like a great look up and a great look down. It was like...
It's very small.
You kind of like... I saw the UFOs where you drop down and there's like the 7 up. Like you got 7%. And I saw that there was a UFO below it with another one. And I was like, all right, I can get that one because that's 14. That's quick, easy. I just got to jump. So I did get those at one point. But the rest of the stage was like, I'm not risking anything.
I really wanted the left and right buttons to be able to do the same thing with the camera, but
ridiculous Bubsy was, that mechanic needed to be implied here too.
Yeah, it would have been very helpful.
All right, what do we have after?
So then we're back to the wall.
We're back in the wall?
Yes.
All right, back in the wall. Oh goodness, this one was again super maze-like. More enemies. I feel like I was like dropping down and 3 spiders would be flying at me. I'd have mice on both sides throwing cheese at me, or like one after another, mouse after a mouse, like throwing cheese at me.
Yeah, you get one on the right, 2 on the left, and then a spider dropping on top.
There was like no way. And that was the thing, is like the spiders, like they move left and right on the ceiling and then drop at a certain point. So they were like dropping right on top of you as you were climbing that coil or that screw or whatever that thing was.
Yeah.
And there was still a ton of those traps all over the place. So there was just so many more things. There was a lot more of that foreground, background in this one as well. So I feel like every single time I saw a pipe, I was like, I have to check. I
did enjoy this one of maybe the most of those second half levels. It was one where you didn't have that same danger of like, hey, if you fall, like you're about to fall back to the beginning of the level.
And that's one of the good things. I do like the fact that it's a little maze-like because it gives you the chance to explore. It's just there's not a like large reward in exploring when you already have Uncola at this point.
Yes.
And you don't need to collect anything else other than this spot. So I don't know if you could get to the end with hitting the exact path with enough spots, but I still explored. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I finished this one. I didn't run out of time on this one, but I finished this one with maybe like 9 seconds left.
Yeah, this was one I had less than a minute when I finished, and I was like starting to feel it. I was like, "Where's the end? Where's the end? Where's the?" And you get that little pressure, but this was one where I felt like I more so enjoyed that little pressure of it than some of the other ones where I was like, "Yep, I'm done. What the hell? Just jump in the water."
I agree.
Yeah, but this one, did you also see there was like little lightning bolts in some spaces?
Yes.
What the heck are those? Like, did like the house, like, is there going to be an electric fire in there?
I think so. I mean,
Like-
again, when you've got barbed wire and just loose screws and nails, and the mouse traps obviously aren't
Most mice
working.
I've ever seen in a house, ever. Yeah, this was one, like, I feel like I got to the bottom of one of those coils, and I was just like, is that just a lightning bolt?
Did it
It
just
just
go
bounces
in
left and right,
okay.
like, right in, like, that little space right
Yeah.
around the coil or right around the jump where you had to land. It didn't go very far, and it didn't shoot or anything, but it was still one of those things that was like, why is there electricity just bouncing off the wood?
Oh, Wily Willy.
Yeah, right?
Wild Wombat
What was
Man.
his name
I don't
again?
know.
Wombat Man. Oh, God. Oh, his name. All right, so that was what? Back to the wall?
Yep, so then we're on dock and roll.
Yep.
We're back to the pier.
Yeah.
And it's sunset this time.
Yes. And the pier is, like, destroyed. If it's the same pier, it's destroyed. There were so many pieces missing. It was so disheveled. I don't even know what was going on in the background because I was so focused on not falling to my doom.
Yes.
Or not falling to a point where I had to repeat, like, half of the stage.
And this one was very maze-like for... Like, I felt like at this point, this is where I really noticed that they very much spread out the spots. Like,
Yes.
you could never collect more than 3 at a time.
No. And
yeah.
the way you had to get some of these with the rope jumps especially. I don't know about you, but I feel like I was getting these rope jumps. And again, I feel like if I was on ground, I could get jumps most of the time consistently. And I thought that the jump mechanics were good. I think the jump mechanic was so different off of the ropes or off of the coils. Not that you need to do much with the coils, but here when you're jumping from one rope to the next, I feel like there was times where I would jump and I would fly to the left. And there was times where I would jump and I would like barely go left at all.
Mm. Yeah, and this actually, I didn't mention this in some of the earlier, like the toying around level, but there were times where when you jumped and there was like a knot in the rope or the whatever the strings were in the other level, and like you hit a shelf, so like you had to not only jump the right time, but you had to be at the right level on the rope when you made your jump. Otherwise, you would just like knock. You'd hear that knocking sound, and I'd be like, I'm about to fall really
and
far.
And there was times where like if you're really good at this game, you can do the weird like you can kind of like curve around it.
Yes.
And
I got that successfully maybe once or twice.
I was going to say, there was a few times where like if you hit it, it made a huge difference. But the amount of effort that goes into hitting it is difficult, and it's not an easy thing to pull off to begin with. Never mind if there's things around or if you fall to your death if you fall. But that was one of the stages where I think I hit it twice in that stage and like really needed it because it either made up a good chunk of the stage because I fell, or it got me to a new area that had a lot of the spots.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this is the stage where those damn dragonflies that shoot at you came back. And those and the wasps.
The bees still,
it might be the wasps. I just feel like I was like on the stage and I had 3 on the same space as me. And I'm like, I can't do anything. I can't do anything. I can't hit any of you.
That was the spot where there was a point in the level where I think there were just like 8 to 10 ropes in a row that you had to jump back and forth between, and they were all just like, hey, you want to jump from underneath this knot to above that knot, but as soon as you make that jump, here comes the wasp.
Yes.
Just bam.
And it was like done, and you're like trying to dodge it, but so like you either dodge it and then fall below the knot, and you're back below again, and that still follows you down there, or like it might not follow you down there, and it's like the chaos of
you
that
had to take hits
section.
to progress in the level, and it was like I had to, you just had to pay attention for those, not the 7-Up icons, but the 7-Up bottles that would just float away when
and that's so like when we talked about the shooting mechanic and you could shoot through walls. There were stages where if I was like getting beat up, I would try not to shoot through the walls so that I could not accidentally get the 7-Up bottle from across the space where I couldn't actually pick it up.
True.
Yeah, but this is the stage I probably struggled on the most. I'm not going to lie. I think all those jumps and the enemies and my health getting beat up so much, I died the most on this one just from those things. I had a couple of the fall deaths in the earlier stages, especially in like the water, but this one has fall deaths because I walked off the stage right at the beginning thinking, oh, I'm just going to go down the pier and see what's down here.
Yeah, this was by far my least favorite level, like most frustrating for me.
Most frustrating, most stressful.
Yeah.
Definitely, I agree.
And that brings us back to the beach for Surf Patrol.
Yes.
Which was basically, I believe, sort of like the same level as level 1, except all the spots were up.
Yes, it feels like it was like low tide or high tide and like a little bit changed, but not much. I realized at the beginning you can kind of like go up and on the bubbles and up into the balloons.
Yeah.
And I fell pretty early and I was like, whatever, like I'm on the ground, I'll explore it. I'm glad I stayed to the ground first.
Yeah.
So glad.
I have the same exact thing. I tried going up first and you fall and just like, and then I was like, well, let me go back and try again. And then you fall, and every time you fall, there's like a new pile of enemies.
There's just so many bad guys at ground level.
Yeah.
There's nothing up above. Like it's like, I don't know if it's a volleyball or like badminton or like there's a netting with all the balloons and bubbles, but at the bottom, it's bad guy after bad guy after bad guy. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. So like you, I learned quickly to be like, all right, let me go through half the level on the ground, and then I will go backwards.
I did the whole ground. I went through the whole ground, and then I went back to, I think, the beach chair to check the beach chair.
Yes, and then
everything afterwards was there was nothing.
Yeah,
it was just like jump from balloon to balloon or jump off of bubble to bubble and collect things. And I was like, all right, I can do this. And
then you go ahead and you unlock that last spot, and
get a sad congratulations if you play normal.
Disappointment.
You get the crying faces. I was like, why am I getting crying faces?
Didn't I just beat the game?
Yeah, beat the game. That's what you're going to give me? We'll talk about beating the game again in a little bit, I guess. But different game. Yeah, so I mean, I didn't dislike this stage. I liked the first version more. I liked the spread out of the bad guys. I liked the spread out of the spots more in the first stage. But I didn't think this one was bad.
No, I liked it as a final level to a game. I mean, it
had some challenge to that
full
jumps.
Circle.
Yeah,
it did have some challenge. Yeah, again, it was, to me, just it was missing a boss.
Yeah, it would have been cool. I don't know what you would have. I mean, would you have fought like a person and like just shot him with a bunch of carbonation bubbles and make him burp or something?
That's all you really did was shoot bubbles anyway. So I don't know how to make it a challenging boss, but. They made it a challenging level.
I mean, but I'm not gonna lie. I do think that there could have been some bosses in this, but like I don't dislike this game because there isn't a boss.
No, I didn't miss them at all.
Yeah.
Until the fact that the game ended, and I was like, wait, like what? That's it?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I lost. As we said, there was definitely some story to this.
Yeah.
But I never knew what it was. And again, I wouldn't have needed a boss to necessarily complete that storyline for me, but I just didn't know what it was. I lost it along the way, but no, it did not take away from the game. No. It was a great game for what it was. I never owned it. It was definitely a rental for me. Yeah. So I never had beaten it until this.
Yeah.
So I don't think I ever collected all of Uncola until this playthrough.
This is a game I owned. And again, I'm not even like... I feel like I had no input as a kid of like what games we owned. Occasionally rented or like whatever. But like, I don't know how we got to own this. I didn't beat it as a kid, but definitely beat it, probably at some point in college or like right after college. Once save states became a thing, because there's no passwords for this, right?
No.
Yeah, so like you just get as far as you get, and that's as far as you get.
Now, I'm curious about, so when you collect Uncola,
yes,
it says at the bottom of the screen, storing continue.
So if you lost all your lives, which I did not lose all my lives
Right.
at all. You use one of those letters as a continue.
Okay, just one. I was wondering if you had to get the
Have
whole
Uncola.
Uncola.
I think it's just one letter.
Okay.
I'm making somewhat of an assumption because I haven't ever had that happen, at least in the last decade plus.
Okay.
So I believe you just use one letter because they made like 7 of the bonus stages so that if you lost a letter, you could still regain it, or maybe you just replayed that level.
Okay.
I don't know, to be honest.
Makes sense.
But that way you could actually get Uncola again to defeat or get the prize of whatever the prize was. I think it was $5,000 or $10,000, which is
We're gonna have to look that one up. But
kind of an interesting thought of like the fact that there was a prize to this game.
Shall we talk bonus level?
Yes, let's talk bonus
levels.
Bonus level, because it had the best music.
Yes.
The best. Like I could sit and just like let that go for an hour and just like still not have any issue with it. You know,
we're getting
like,
that in the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to
Okay,
add that
okay.
to the podcast. I think we'll also add the edited version that I have of it that a friend of ours made. But the bonus stages are like quick 1 to 2 minute challenges where you're inside of a 7-Up bottle.
Yep.
And you have to jump from like bubble to bubble and collect as many of the, you know, the spots as you can. If you collect 100, because there's only 100, you get the 1-up. If you don't get it, then you get nothing special other than these like silver bold letters that eventually spell out Uncola, which was 7-Up's phrase back then to drink something that was not a cola.
Yeah, it's like the Sprite,
Sprite,
refreshing, like it's a refreshing take on soda.
The lemon lime flavor.
Yeah, citrus.
So that was their go-to and that their phrasing. And so I had a lot of fun with these. I'm glad that they were short and quick and like kind of move over. But I wish there was some times where you could either do them as like a challenge, like if once you beat the game, you could play through them, or they had other ones where you could like maybe if you could like create your own or like something to practice on them, because I found that once you get past the first 2 or 3 of them, they become really difficult.
Yeah,
like, to even get a lot of the points.
They had they added in more of the just spiky,
like the spiky mine
ball,
things,
the mines,
which you can shoot to destroy. But you didn't know that?
Facepalm, whatever the phrase is.
So
Yeah, I was about to say, you know what I found really annoying was the fact that you basically like sometimes had to kill yourself, hurt yourself to get through these things.
So
I never shot.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I didn't know that was such
one
a struggle.
projectile in the entire bonus level.
So you can shoot to destroy them. For anybody who didn't know that. The issue for me was every time I did, because they're so close to the bubbles that you bounce off of, I would miss and shoot the bubble and hit the stupid mine. So I'd take the hit, destroy the bubble, and then fall down, and then I do the panic fall.
I took damage, but at least I could still continue on, and I landed on the bubble. So I don't know.
You know, pros and cons. But I had so much fun with these. Like, I really feel like you could have done something extra with these. I wish that there was, though you spelled Uncola, I really wanted more.
Yeah.
I didn't mind if there was more difficulty to it. I liked that there was kind of like, you had almost like that difficulty curve to it, where the first 2, like, they were short, they were like, weren't super high up that you had to get to find the letter. And then you started finding like the spikes, and then it started getting really tall, or really like, you had this like real like path that you had to follow.
Yeah, it would like, I'm not remembering the game necessarily, but there are games like fantasy style, like Gauntlet Legend type games where you have like the story mode, but then if you beat the story mode, you get like this just never ending dungeon that just gets more difficult. And it would have been cool to have beaten the game and then just get like this infinitely tall 7-Up bottle that you go as high as you can go.
Yeah, that would have been. I mean, what was it? Doodle Jump?
As long as that,
as long as
that music was playing, I'd keep going up the 7-Up bottle.
I loved that. That was a lot of fun. all of those stages. I think it was
Doodle jumped
6 or 7. Yeah, it just keeps going up and
Yeah.
up and up, like kind of like that. Yeah. I mean, kind of like with that, one of the things I think that I was most impressed with this game is it gives you that shrunken idea of that you're so small compared to everything else.
Yes, it did that very well.
I know it was like, I think this came out in 94, I think was the time. And I think or sometime in the 90s.
Yeah, 93, 94.
93, somewhere in the 90s, right? Which was around the time when the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Did you see those movies?
Oh, yeah.
Those were huge at that time. And it really made me feel like you were playing that out a little bit. Not as necessarily as dramatic as the movies were with like the ants and the vacuum cleaner and those things, but it gave me that reminiscent feeling of size to what is going on.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I thought that this like in the bottle, especially when you got to like the one of the later ones, you have to get really high up there just to find the letter. Never mind there's like 6 mines around it.
Yeah, you have to get really high up there, and it's like earlier on in the levels there were like multiple paths you could take to get up there, but later on there was like a level where you kind of had to go up the left, get all the way to the right, and then like go across the top from right to left to get it was quite the path that you had.
And there was another one where I mean I might not have found the correct path, but you had one of those small bubbles where you could jump into it and then jump up and touch another bubble, and it helped. I feel like it gave me a little shortcut.
Yes.
I don't know if that was the way you had to get there or not, to be honest, because I died a few times.
It might have been, from what I remember.
Yeah, I died a few times in those. Just because you don't get health, and I couldn't shoot the stinking mines. I could shoot the bubbles for.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky, I think. I feel like I only had to replay one of the bonus levels.
Yeah.
Like, L maybe was the one that I had to replay, but
they're so much fun. I wouldn't have had any issue playing those multiple times.
Definitely
like
not.
Again, like I wish you could have just like at the beginning screen just like bonus stage and chose whatever bonus stage you wanted to go.
Yeah, because I mean even after I spelled Uncola, I did keep trying. Like I wanted to unlock another bonus level. Yeah. Like I wanted to do it.
Oh, it was such a good thing. That was like that. I don't think I would have as much love for this game if those were not there. I would still have some love.
Yeah,
I would definitely. I have things that we haven't talked about yet that I want to add. But this, it's just so quick and fun and easy. Not easy, like easy to do, but like easy to like think about and process of like what is the goal.
Right.
That it's so fun. Like I have bonus stages that I can think of. Like this is probably one of the better bonus stage things I can think of in any of the like lifetime of like NES, Super Nintendo at that point in time.
Yeah.
Games. Like I think Donkey Kong Country, you have like the 3 barrels. Like that sucked. Like some of them were fun because you had to collect all the bananas and you'd shoot across. But like
or Bubsy with the lava,
which was impossible.
Waterfalls.
Well, let's go, no, I don't want to go back that way. We're not going back there.
No, but saying that makes total sense, and I'm feeling now like maybe that is what was an acceptable replacement for bosses.
Yeah.
Like, I was totally cool as long as those bonus levels were there and existed.
I mean, it wasn't that much harder, like, especially in the early stages, the first half of the game at least, like, to get whatever. You needed to get 65 to unlock your friend. Most of the time I was getting to 80, 90.
Yeah.
And I would miss a few somewhere. And so I was almost always getting the bonus.
Right.
I only got sad when I got to the point I spelt Uncola and I wasn't getting bonuses anymore.
I was like, I got 94%.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get that one. I was like 95%. Like, there's no bonus level anymore?
Yeah.
Like,
it was
what?
just done. And it didn't even, like, forewarn me or tell me, and I was sad about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I liked the music. Overall in the game, I liked the music. I think it does a decent job of hitting the vibe and kind of giving you the fun. It's not super repetitive. It's not super, like, annoying. And I never felt that. I didn't think it was crazy great, except for the bonus stage.
Yes. Agreed.
It was just, like, not annoying, because I feel like there's games where you hear that music and you're just like, oh my god, again.
Yeah, I'm playing this game on mute.
Yeah.
No, but I totally agree with that. The music never overstayed its welcome.
No.
But the bonus level music was epic.
Oh, it's epic. You could put that on for an hour and be more than fine with it. The visuals overall, and I even played a little bit of this at in front of some of my students, and they were like, this is a 90s game? Like, this was, and I'm like, yeah, like, they're like, this is pretty good. And I was like, I think the graphics, surprisingly for a promotional game,
Yes.
like they didn't like cheap out on their graphics. What was it, Acclaim?
That sounds
Right.
right.
Right? Like I'm trying to think of the beginning. No, Virgin. Wasn't it Virgin?
Yeah, it was Virgin. You're
You
right.
want to know why? Because it's that damn logo at the beginning that you can. Did you know you can spin and rotate it?
No.
What do you mean?
I might have known. I probably knew that as a kid. I probably knew
This
as a
was
kid,
one of those
but-
things that like you don't have to hit start. You can just like in Mario 64, you could mess with his face.
Yeah. Okay.
You could hit
yeah.
like R and L and it would spin, and you could hit like X and it would get bigger, like it would get wider, and
These
A
are
would
the,
make it taller.
These are the pitfalls of the Super Nintendo Classic save states because I only
Saw
had that
this.
opportunity once and then I never.
I beat the game and I went back and played with that more just because I was having so much fun with that. But I love those things. The health meter where you like you're the full spot and then
just
you like
sorta,
take a
like,
hit and you start like crumbling in half. Yeah, like what
Yeah,
a creative
that was
little
nice.
like visual instead of like a percent, like you're down to 50 or
Yeah.
20 or whatever.
Yes. It didn't make sense to me for the video game to even exist because it's just it's a soda.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing game for the like nothing else has ever done something like that that I'm
like,
aware
I think
of.
there's a Chester Cheeto game that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't know
We're gonna have to
anything.
play it
We
now.
will play it, but I don't think it's good because I've heard nothing about it. And I think it came out on like the Wii or PlayStation, kind of somewhere in that timeline. There's an M&M racing game,
Okay.
which I've never played
There's
it.
too many. I mean, racing is tough. You got to compete with Mario Kart, with Diddy Kong
Oh,
Racing,
yeah,
or
you're just
Donkey
not
Kong
there.
Racing,
No.
or whatever it is.
Donkey
Is
Kong
it
Racing?
Diddy
Did you
Kong
call it
Racing,
Donkey
right?
Kong Racing?
Diddy Kong Racing.
Are you allowed
It's
on
been
this?
a long time. I only played that with my cousins out in New York. Like,
No, I never owned that until I
twice.
was an adult and didn't learn to appreciate it until then. So
Yeah.
we'll play that one together. We'll do some co-op on that. That's fun. Yeah, but I loved some of those things, like the health meter. I know there's a score, but I don't think the score gets you anything.
No.
Like
I mean,
I-
it was
Nice
all
to know
about
the
collecting the
percent, so you could know that you were going to get the one up at the end of the stage, or
Yeah.
you knew you were going to. Love like save your friend, find the cage. Like
Yes.
those little notifications were so bold that it made it nice to know that you were good to go, and I liked that.
So I was reading through the wiki and found at one point actually and I don't know if there was more to it than this, but if you collected 100%, it was one of those messages that just said "cool" flashing across
Is
the
it?
screen.
Oh, now I kinda
That's
wanna
what
go
they
and do
say.
that.
So, and I vaguely feel like I remember your 100% turns gold.
Yeah,
Like that. I think that's all I can remember from. I don't think anything else super special.
yeah.
happened,
I just
but
I
yeah,
hated
just
when
a
you got
little tiny piece that like so much thought was put into certain things
Yeah.
again for a weird promotion.
Well, like you got the time at the end, like you got to the end of the stage, you had like the time bonus, so like you'd kind of hold the balloon and go up, and then you'd get your bonus from the
Yeah.
spot. I
Time
hated
bonus
when I was like,
almost nothing.
yeah, it didn't do much, but it did something, I guess. I hated when I would get there and be like, my hand's touching the one up. Give me the one.
Definitely
up.
touching the one up.
Come on. Yeah. I loved the little sound effects that he made, especially the slap when he landed.
Yes,
The slap sound is like,
that was hilarious.
you just like eat it. Like you're the spot and your face just goes face first into the ground
Yep.
or into whatever you're jumping on. And that sound effects was spot on.
Yes,
I like that he
that
just
was
like
the perfect sound effect.
does all those sounds, like the
squeal.
okays and the sound effects. I feel like were just like really great in this game.
Yes, yeah. They stood out from the background music.
Yes.
The same way the messages stood out
Yeah.
from the visual background.
I feel
of
like
the
those
game.
sound effects almost were better than the music overall,
Mhm.
like, minus the bonus
Yeah.
stage. But
yeah.
I feel like the sound effects and like the health meter and like some of those things just like they like are just engraved in my head and are really notable and memorable.
Yes. Yeah, they really it was a really well done game.
Yeah, surprisingly for
Yes,
a friggin'
yeah.
promotional thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if that adds to it. Like, am I rating it higher just because I'm expecting like my bar is lower but I
Well,
don't know.
now that we're at that, do you want to add anything else before we start rating it?
No, how shall we rate this game?
I mean, I wrote like out of 7, but then
Yeah,
I literally
I know.
wrote 7 question mark. I mean, come on, 7 Up. But
yeah, right. Out of 7 makes sense.
did you ever play 7 Up in school as a kid? Because
Yes,
that was
of
my next
course.
note to myself.
Of course.
That was a great game, by the way. Great way for the teacher to just waste time.
Yeah, it's hilarious how many games were like that, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's do you play those games in your classes?
Hell no.
Still? Yeah, I'm like,
I feel like I'd get fired in an instant.
Yes, absolutely.
Teaching high
That's-
school students to play 7 Up. I'm
But
sure they
I
would
feel
love
like we
it.
played
I'm
it
gonna
a
pull it
lot.
off. I'm gonna pull it off one day.
we
Back
got
me
you
up.
now.
All
All
right,
right,
now.
new. This is our new. What's your we use seeds or teach point? What's your evaluation system?
We have Teach Point as well.
This should be my teach point goal for next year is to play 7 Up.
Let's play
in
7 Up,
class.
and see how kids get to be at it. I mean, we could go out of 7. There was 11 stages. We could do it out of 100 because you had to collect. No, let's do it at we could do it at 65 because that's how many percent you needed to open the cage.
In the first level, at least, I feel like it got progressively higher.
I feel like it was 60 or 65. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to quickly see if I can find it.
It's out of 7 spots, maybe.
Well, technically, isn't there 11 of them?
Yeah, okay,
so
11
on...
spots.
Oh, I didn't even realize there was an easy mode. There's an easy mode, a normal mode, and a hard mode. On normal, it's 60 points. 60 cool points.
Oh, okay.
On hard, it's 90.
Wow. I mean, I think I got to 90 every time, except for maybe one level that I just...
Definitely 1 or 2 stages. I think once I got to the last stage and I knew I was going to beat it, I was like, I don't need any more. I'm not going back.
There were no more bonus levels. I knew what was going on, so that's true.
You want to do it at 60 because we both played normal?
Yeah, that
All
sounds good to me.
All right. You want me to go first or you want to
Yeah,
go first?
you take this one.
All right. Man, this one's got some nostalgia, so I love it. Because, again, it's a game I owned. But I'm going to go on what I feel like is the lower end. I'm going to go 43.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a lot of fun playing it. But I'm done now. I'm not going to play this again anytime soon unless someone really brings it up or brings up a challenge. I could play hard and get the actual completion, and I know I could beat it, but I'm just not.
Do you think if you played it on hard and got the promotional screen, can we still get a prize for that? Can we send that to 7 Up and be like, come on?
I did look at it, and I think that it's in the manual that it talks about it, who to send. You had to take a picture and send your name and address and all these things. And let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, but there's something noting it. Oh, here it is. Cool prize, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Spell on cola, take a picture of special secret screen that will be shown, mail the picture. You will receive your cool prize within 6 to 8 weeks. Blah, 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 blah. You had to do this before. It had to be received before December 31st, 1993. So at this point in time, it's done.
When did the game come out?
Probably around that time. Probably in early 93.
So you had a year or less to do this.
Less than a year, I would assume.
I'm kind of blanking on what I was going to say, but so replay value definitely has a big
It came out in 93.
Yeah. Okay. So replay value has a big effect on your score, which is true. It should. And I probably was going to rate this a bit higher, but you're totally right that I will pretty much never replay this game.
Right?
It was a great game to play one time through,
playing.
for sure. But I have no interest in playing this in hard mode. So I'm gonna take my score down a bit, but probably not quite as low as you. I might say 46.
Okay.
46 spots or 46% or whatever.
Yeah, it was a percent, but 46 spots. Yeah. I mean, again, I feel like you could play this once in a decade and be totally happy, and then play it again just to kind of remember some small things. I would totally play the bonuses. If I could just sit and play the bonuses, I would probably open it up and play through the game a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd probably play the first... if I ever played again, I might play the first 4 levels.
Yeah.
And get the bonus stage for each and then be like, all right, I'm good.
Because legitimately, I think if I could just play the bonus stages, I'd be happy.
Yeah. If
there were like adaptive levels or like you could create your own or something, like I would be happy. But other than that, nothing I'm coming back to. Worth playing, worth trying, especially if you like, Super Nintendo and like platform style games. It's worth it.
Nice.
All right. So I rated what I don't even remember. What was I?
43?
43 and you were 46?
46.
All right.
Yeah.
There's our scores out of 60 because that's an important thing.
Yes.
Right? We've got Mega Man Soccer coming up soon. We've got Aladdin coming up soon. We're going to see Taylor and play through Aladdin. I think we're also going to try and play through the Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo, I believe, with Taylor coming up. But we've got a couple different things.
And we're trying to set up a Mega Man Soccer tournament.
And we're trying to get that tournament, like the Fantasy Draft Tournament.
Are we going to do this? I guess we'll talk about that during the Mega Man podcast.
Either,
is it going to be league style? Or,
yeah, okay. We'll talk more about that when we do tournament mode. So thanks for listening to Did You Play That? As always, do us a favor, like, subscribe, rate, download, follow, share, whatever it is. Comment on your thoughts on Coolspot. Is this a game you go back and revisit every year, every decade, never? Let us know. We love to hear back from all of you in the real world. Until then, adios.